Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Joanna Butler, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Officer Cadet Jessie Maljanek-Smith. 2026 marks 125 years of dedicated service by the Australian Army and its predecessors. Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Robert Sutton and warmly welcome his family who are in attendance today. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. Visitors who are able to do so, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where family and friends could mourn loved ones, buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Robert Sutton. Robert Sutton was born in February 1897 in Rockhampton, Queensland, and was one of 11 children born to Horatio and Annie Sutton. Known by the nickname Bobby, he attended school in Blackhall in central Queensland and later worked as a farmer and selector in the Roma region. Sutton enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 18th of December 1916 at Roma and soon commenced a period of training for service in the military. He was one of two Sutton brothers and served for Australia during the First World War. His older brother, Horatio, served in the Western Front and in June 1918 was severely wounded in a gas attack. After his initial training, in June 1917, Bobby Sutton sailed from Melbourne aboard the transport ship Subic as part of the reinforcements on the 3rd Machine Gun Battalion. He arrived in Liverpool, England in August for further training. On New Year's Day, 1918, he sailed from Southampton on the south coast of England for France. Within days, he was posted to Alpha Company of 41st Battalion, which formed a part of the 11th Brigade of the 3rd Australian Division. He joined the unit as it was behind the front lines in Belgium. The often difficult and uncomfortable living conditions for soldiers, both during their training at the front, caused many health problems during the First World War. A day after joining the 41st Battalion, Sutton was sent to hospital with the highly contagious skin complaint known as scabies. He rejoined his unit on the 27th of January and 2 days later entered the frontline trenches near the French-Belgian border. The 41st Battalion's diary notes, on the 8 days they spent in the trenches, the troops came under intermittent enemy artillery fire and experienced the notorious mud of trench warfare on the Western Front. For the next 6 weeks, he spent his time moving between the frontline duties in the trenches or behind the lines, or in hospital for treatment for the ongoing effects of scabies. During his time with the battalion, he gained a reputation as a quiet and kind soldier who was well liked by the men in his platoon. On the 15th of March, 1918, he rejoined the 41st Battalion as it was making a rapid transfer south from Belgium to join forces defending against a major German offensive in the Somme region of France. By the end of March, he was with his battalion in the trenches near Sailly-le-Sec, just north of the River Somme and east of the important railway hub at Amiens, one of the targets on the German attack. The battalion would spend more than a month in the front lines, coming under frequent attacks from the German infantry, high explosive artillery, and gas attacks. Sutton served as one of the day duty men of his platoon, a role in which he observed and reported on enemy movement of artillery action. On the 24th of April, 1918, while near Sailly-le-Sec, the 41st Battalion came under attack from a German artillery bombardment that lasted 5 hours. During that time, it was estimated that some 4,000 high explosive, shrapnel, and gas shells fell in their sector of the front. Later in the day, a shrapnel shell exploded directly above the trench where Sutton was serving. He took the full force of the blast and was killed instantly. He'd been with this unit for just over 4 months. Private Robert Sutton was 21 years old. He is buried at the Benay Communal Cemetery Extension in France, where 106 Commonwealth soldiers of the First World War now lie. He was deeply missed by his grieving family, who left notes of remembrance in local newspapers to commemorate the anniversary of his death for decades after the war's end. Private Robert Sutton is listed in the Roll of Honour to my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. And this is one, but many of the stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Robert Sutton, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and for a hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for joining us at the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.